Close White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
Save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derrick White.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Alongside me, two guys who are right in the slot, brought down slightly by Jayson Tatum's apparent shooting woes, but then brought right back up by Derrick White's American heroism, Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. Guys, how we doing?
It's good to be back with the threesome, boys. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We're back. Vegas, Bali, Sydney, back in Tasmania. Trying to figure out where my microphone is. Trying to talk to these boys with my microphone 3 meters away from me. But yeah, we're back.
Love it.
I thought you were about to go, Ben. No, it's good. Yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's good for us to all get on, dude. I'm looking forward to, talking about a man who had 6 turnovers in that USA game. So we'll get to that, I'm sure.
I knew Spoonie wouldn't let the LeBron fanboying from Ben stand after the last podcast. So
Never.
I had to get it in while I could, while the opportunity was there. Look, before we get into all of that, please like this stream. Please subscribe to the First to the Floor YouTube channel. We're very much close to hitting that 5K mark. Subscriber numbers have significantly dropped off after the NBA Finals ended, understandably. So if you can please like the stream, hit subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. While you're at it, check out the How About Them Celtics podcast and the Celtics Lab podcast. 2 amazing podcasts, both under the CLNS media umbrella. And How About Them Celtics guys also have their own YouTube channel, which you should definitely check out and subscribe to. Spoonie, he's writing stuff for Celtics blog. Spoonie, you got anything coming up for us on the C blog there?
Yeah, I kind of took July off. I didn't tell them I was doing that, but I just needed it, dude, with the playoffs and all the shows and then being in Vegas. I was just spent, but I'm feeling
honest,
re-energized.
Yeah, all these things, and then Vegas, like, oh, God.
Yes.
It murdered me. But I should have part 2 of the Summer League Diaries coming out in the next, definitely by next week. And then I am writing what's next for Jaylen Brown? Where's his game going to go after the best season of his career and this playoff run? Like, is he going to take another step? So I'm going to explore that a little bit.
Hopefully the answer is yes. That sounds good. We'll definitely check that out. Playback.tv/Celtics blog. That's ours/Jake's/Celtics blogs playback room. Jake, I know we've got some loose plans to live stream some of the Olympic Games. Anything coming up for us there?
So I'm going to do Puerto Rico versus Team USA.
Nice.
That will be at 1 a.m. for us. So Ben, no pressure to do that one also. But I'll be doing that one. The Boomers is a little more tricky because we're kind of at the whatever Playback has for us is what we're able to stream, and they've kind of made some noise about like screen sharing, which we've done in the past of like the streamers at work. Screen sharing the Olympics would be potentially be a very bad idea for if we don't have the license to do that. So the Boomers are currently not available to stream tonight. Tonight the Boomers play Greece, and if they win, they go through to the knockout stages. But we won't be able to stream that on Playback, unfortunately. Maybe if they get to the knockout round, we'll have more of the other games available. But as of now, it's like all the Team USA games, some Canada games. But yeah, that's the update.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get. And yeah, must-win game for the Boomers, 9:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which we'll get to a little bit later. Coming up on this one, Team USA basketball talk, the stock exchange, Jayson Tatum. We'll check in on those Aussie Boomers. No, not your parents, the Australian basketball team. We'll take a look at some cheesy stories happening within the Olympics. That's your clue, cheesy, and that's possibly going to get cut for time. So we'll see. You have to hang in till the end there to see if we get to that one. And finally, Gordon Hayward has retired, and Jaylen Brown is launching something really exciting in the city of Boston. But first, Team USA versus South Sudan. A couple of days ago now, Jayson Tatum back in the lineup, gets the start. Joel Embiid, now he's benched. Now 76ers fans are outraging online. Jake, we'll get your thoughts to begin with. You and I, we talked about the whole Jayson Tatum not playing situation in that first game. He's back on the court. What do you think of Tatum's performance?
Tatum's performance was fine. He played fine. And But the whole point of like the last episode was just like they're gonna win with whoever they throw out there. Like this team is so good. They did a really good job of setting expectations low in the exhibition games, which I, analogized to preseason. Like there's a clear difference between how hard they're playing in the exhibition games compared to these games. When these guys are playing hard, like there's no one that can stand a chance against this Team USA team. Like Canada's the only other one that has like maybe a chance, but even them, I don't see having like a real shot at being Team USA. So the point is like, it shouldn't be that hard to get all these guys out there. It's bullshit that Joel Embiid didn't play in this game as well. The fact that he like can't get all 12 of these guys out there is just like, it's just not that hard. There are plenty of teams in the NBA that do. I know there's less minutes, but like Joel Embiid also for the matchups, quote unquote, was like a much better plus minus in the South Sudan game in the exhibition games. Even though like I agree that the versatility of these lineups are clearly better without Joel Embiid. Tatum was good-ish. Hit the side of the backboard, which everybody like. Could he have just missed it normally? That would have been nice.
It was the top post on NBA Reddit. I think it might still be.
Yeah, just miss normally, dude. I don't know what's going on there, but defense was good. Had a nice, chase down block. Had one layup attempt where he's been doing this more, been kind of like doing the LeBron getting downhill and then using his shoulder as he's like coming across the lane to like have guys bounce off. Guy bounced off, but the guy also stripped the ball from him. But I like that development in his driving game, which definitely happened in the finals. He's just, any rebounded, played defense. But this is the role that I wanted him to play.
Yeah.
I think he played 16 minutes, 10 to 16 minutes, play defense and rebound, and they're going to win the game.
Yeah, he had one, I think maybe like the first time he really had an opportunity to do anything on the ball because he's doing a lot of corner standing, a lot of off-ball screening. I thought he had some really nice like off-ball screens for Devin Booker, which is like
in the corner.
Insane.
That was good.
Yeah, a couple like really nice ones like flare screens and stuff, like just doing the little things out there. But he had a super nice drop-off to I think Anthony Davis, like the first time he really touched the ball and got downhill. He's just not forcing it, which I think is ideal. That's how he's going to get minutes, because if he tries to take over the game, like he's just going to get yanked because, I mean, Anthony Edwards is apparently allowed to do that, but really nobody else is, I guess. So was not the best Tatum performance of all time, but he also, like, this is why you play this dude, because he's not going to hurt you at all. Where I think the alternate is really true of Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid at his worst can absolutely like submarine this team. And we saw it in the first game. So I have trouble feeling bad for Joel Embiid not getting minutes, if I'm being totally honest. But you're right, Jake. It's like you can find at least 8 minutes for everybody. You can find 2 stretches of the game for everybody. And like, not even because like, it's just not worth having the narrative around the team. Like you're going to have to keep like answering questions about it, Steve Kerr. Just like you could just eliminate that immediately. Nobody's going to be like, why did Embiid only play 7 minutes? Like nobody's going to do that. It's all about if you just stick them to the bench and they never play. So, but if there's a guy that I want stuck on the bench and not playing at all, it is Joel Embiid. So overall,
you know, say LeBron.
LeBron too, but I know that's unrealistic.
Joel Embiid, the fact that he's getting boos even in another country is pretty funny.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, every time he steps on the court, the whole crowd is booing him. So that's been nice.
Is it because he was eligible for France and he didn't come?
So.
Is that okay? All right.
Yeah, and he shunned his home nation of Cameroon as well.
That as well.
I believe. But yeah, great sign for Jayson Tatum, like character-wise, for him to come in after not playing in that first game and not overexert, not over-assert himself, and just play like the role of that of an elite role player. And like you guys said, a lot of off-ball screens and kind of like playing more like a big functionally than we're used to. Like a lot of like flashing across the paint, trying to get entry passes. I don't think he received any or even were any attempted in his direction throughout the game, but like just not the Jayson Tatum that we're used to functionally on the court in terms of his role. But 2 guys who did come in halfway through the first quarter playing their exact precise roles, a role that we've gotten very used to throughout the Celtics season. Jrue Holiday and Derrick White came in midway through the first quarter. It was a pretty close game at that point. Credit to South Sudan. And Derrick and Jrue just completely blew the game wide open. Jake, I've got to throw to you again, like the world's leading expert in Derrick White, to give us the rundown on the Derrick White explosion in this one, because just elite role player, national hero, you might say, just incredible in this one.
Unbelievable. It's so awesome to see everybody finally, like, you see, it's funny how it takes Team USA in the Olympics for everybody to like finally accept the Derrick White experience. Like, it wasn't the playoffs. It wasn't the fact that he almost made the All-Star team. It wasn't the fact that he was awesome in the finals. It's like now that because they don't hate the Celtics, they're able to just watch the game. Well, they still have Jayson Tatum. That's the one thing that people can't do without any confirmation bias. But Derrick White's impossible to say anything bad about because he doesn't miss shots. Just 3 for 3 from 3. Running pick and roll, chase down blocks. Like, I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I can't tell if I shouldn't be surprised anymore, or does he just keep getting better? Like, he's basically playing perfectly, not missing shots, guarding everybody, running the offense. Man, I wonder if this is like, I think I might have to call it the Derrick White prophecy, the confidence prophecy, because like Popovich always talked about how like he had to, encourage Derrick, like, you're supposed to be here. You came from D2, G League, and now you're here. You belong. And Derrick's talked about how Jayson and Jaylen are always like, be yourself, be aggressive. And he's talked effusively about how much Joe Mazzulla has helped him with his mentality. And again, we saw him take another leap this season. And now it's like Derrick White is on Team USA, on maybe the most talented Team USA team of all time. And he was a replacement for Kawhi, and people are like saying he shouldn't be there. And not only is he be there, but it's pretty clear to me that the best lineup is Jrue Holiday, Derrick White, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, maybe Jayson Tatum, and Anthony Davis. Like, it's very, like, Steph Curry's playing worse than Jayson Tatum. He also can't hit the broadside of the barn. Nope. And he obviously isn't giving you what he gives you on the other end. So really the offense should be fill in the gaps and let Kevin Durant shoot threes. That's essentially what this team should be. And then let Anthony Davis, Jrue Holiday, Derrick White play defense, which is maybe the argument for Jayson Tatum in that role. I'll go back to a lineup question later. But like the fact that that's clearly the lineup and Derrick White may be the second best player in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a perfect, like, everything he does well is just amplified with the more better players you surround him with. And this is like a fucking all NBA team, essentially, that he's surrounded with. So he's amplifying them. They're getting amplified. Everybody's it's like, turn it up to 11. He just like, it knows exactly what he needs to do on every possession, both sides of the ball, to kind of get the best out of the team. And, we've obviously seen it with the Celtics, but when he's the fifth guy with, LeBron, Bam, who's playing out of his mind, Devin Booker, Tatum, it's like, holy shit, he looks incredible. And he hit 1 3, dude. It was a pretty, like, big nuts 3 hand in his face, too. So
always.
He's like brimming. Yeah, of course. Brimming with confidence. I think on the lineup thing that, like, Bam's been fucking awesome on both sides of the ball. So I think it's tough to like keep him out of the lineup. I'd probably play him instead of Tatum, which is difficult for me to say. But goddamn, he was probably the best player on the court, I thought, against South Sudan, Bam. But Derrick White's just been amazing. And Jrue had one, I think in the first quarter possession, where somebody hit him on the short roll. He took like a dribble and then hit that little like 15-foot mid-range jumper from the short roll, and I was like, that's basically what won us the finals. That play right there was so beautiful to see. Yeah,
whatever the opposite of PTSD is, that's what that feeling was like.
U4STD. Wait a second. Real quick, I've been workshopping like Brad and Jennifer were like Benifer. I've been trying to workshop a Jake and Derrick White one. Best I've gotten is Derek Weisenberg. I don't know. We can work on it.
Jarek Weisenberg?
Jarek Weisenberg? All right, now we're talking. Yeah.
I thought of one. I'll share it offline. It's not appropriate for live TV. The real MVP, Brad Stevens, for locking up
sure.
Derrick White
Yes.
to a long-term contract extension
Always, yeah.
before he bowled out on this international stage like this. But the commonality between all these Olympic USA basketball teams is that it's full of like marquee sort of MVP-esque level players. So the real value is like, can you find? I say this again. I say it every show when talking about Derrick White. That connective tissue. And what better connective tissue to find than Derrick White and Jrue Holiday to connect all of these guys together and make them sort of play as one. And which is why I mentioned, like, as soon as Derek Weisenberger or whatever the name that you just came up with, as soon as those two
Derek
checked
Weisenberg.
in, hey, thank you. As soon as they checked in, that's when the Team USA machine really got humming. And I think that's really clear, and there's a lot of value there. And it's why they're so valuable on our like relatively star-studded Celtics team as well. So again, just to see the world, really, the basketball world, heap praise on these guys to toe this line that we've been towing for over a year now. So satisfying. Whatever the opposite of PTSD is, like you said, Jake, post in the chat. Let us know the definition there. We're not sure, but we feel it.
So you've been calling him connective tissue, and I'm like, I guess that's good enough, but if it doesn't feel like an important enough part of the body at this point, like
The veins.
but at the same point, I guess like connective tissue is literally from your head all the way down to your toes.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's part of you, but like it does feel like it's almost doing him a disservice at this point. Like he can take 0 shots, but at the same time he can scale up and give you 38 against the Miami Heat in the playoffs. Like that, I don't know what to say about him anymore, but like the way when you fast forward and you look at like, you know, the salary cap issues and stuff like that, like the fact that it's Derek, Jaylen, and Jayson, like it's a big three now. Like he was already a fringe all-star and he just he's getting better. I don't know. It's the confidence prophecy. He continues to believe more in himself, which just continues to unlock more parts of his game. And you have those 3 guys on your team for the next 4 years, and hopefully Jrue Holiday as well, if they're able to do some cap stuff. But those 3 guys plus whoever, I don't really care. Like that's just going to be a title contender for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
Dude,
nothing
those
more
lobs
inspiring.
He's throwing.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, go. The
No,
lobs
go for it,
Derrick
man.
White has been throwing has been so on point too. Like
Yes.
South Sudan didn't even play some of these pick and rolls that bad, and Derrick's just like floating it up so it lands in between 2 defenders for Anthony Davis to just like mash it down. It's so beautiful, dude, and it's like such a confidence play to be like, there's 2 guys there, but fuck it, I'm fitting this thing through. This is gonna be a dunk.
The evaluation really is just like looking at the rest of NBA Twitter being like, see what we've been
Told you.
saying for the last
Yeah.
year? Yeah, there's nothing else to add other than look at our like tweet timeline for the past year or so on Derrick White. Spoonie, like just to go back to Tatum a little bit, because I might have moved on slightly too quickly. Were you satisfied with his performance? And you mentioned the shot hitting the side of the backboard. How worried are you about this sort of somewhat extended shooting slump now?
The shooting is weird to me because he shot the shit out of the ball most of the season, right? So like I feel like the 82 games should matter more than the playoffs and definitely more than this Olympic stuff, but I'm starting to get worried. I know I shouldn't. He's probably going to come
It's what we
out.
do. It's what we do.
I know. I knew you'd be with me, Ben, but I'm starting to get a little bit worried. This was like a bad pizza game from Tatum. Like it wasn't the best you've ever had, but it's still pizza, so it's fine type of game. It's like, yeah, it was whatever. Like not bad.
Yeah.
Not unsatisfied is probably like mildly satisfactory is like how I would describe it, I think. So it was okay. Dude, just make a 3. Like you go 1 for 7 from 3. I don't care. Just make
Not
1
happening.
and it'll make me feel better. Yeah, no, he's not going to take them.
Yeah, well, like part of the problem as well is like he needs to find his rhythm, and he's taking 1-3 a game. Like it's just not going to happen probably when he's taking that few. So, so yes, Mary Poppins in the chat, Lizard Brain. Like, of course I'm worried. Of course There's a part of me that's like I literally had the thought like, what if he's now Giannis, and like he just like can't shoot threes anymore.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing. I went back and looked at the last 3 seasons of his shooting. I didn't have time to go catch and shoot versus pull up threes, but I just looked at the total 3-point attempts and makes from the last 3 seasons, because the last 3 seasons are like that 21-22 season after Kemba was gone was really like the first season. It was, okay, this is Tatum's team, super high usage relative to the rest of the team. So 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 23-24. Regular season plus playoffs. So that's including the last two playoffs where he's a combined 30%. He's at 868 makes out of 2,444 attempts, brings him to 35.6% from three. That's just probably what he is.
That's fine,
and that's totally fine. And like if you're gonna take 7 or 8 threes a game in the playoffs and you're gonna make 35.6 of them, that's great. I'm sure we might do a whole podcast just on Tatum shooting, as we do every offseason, it feels like. But like, there's definitely a conversation about the types of threes, because he definitely takes 2 per game that could just not be taken or whatever. And those are like the end of the quarter setback threes that like literally one has never gone in, I'm pretty sure, except for the second quarter of the game 5 in the finals where he was 1 for 7 but made the coolest one over Luka Doncic. But I do think, and like the free throw numbers again were 86% in the playoffs. Like the shot is there. I think it's just a slump. And then I have this tweet from Missoula Baller, who got banned from Twitter, who now is Udotati, free ban. Ray Allen had 5 unique streaks of at least 19 games where he shot under 30% from 3 in his career. Reggie Miller had at least 20. Kevin Durant had 30. The only high volume shooter without a single 19 game span meeting that description I can find is Steph Curry. So like, it feels worse because it's the playoffs and now we're here. So like the amount of time it's been is like much longer than the normal amount of 20 games. Like 20 games is like a month in the regular season, which is like, actually it's probably less than a month even. So it's like whatever. But the fact that it's with the entire playoffs with all of those days off in between games, in between series, obviously the microscope is on Tatum and on the Celtics. So every miss feels like 3 misses, especially when he hasn't made one in like 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
And it feels worse now when literally the only games that people are watching again are these games and he clanks one off the backboard. Like that miss alone counted for like another 20 game shooting slump. Just the way that like NBA Twitter reacted to it. So it feels worse than it is. And there's probably something going on with his mechanics or his mental. That's probably not going to get fixed in the Olympics. It's probably going to get fixed in the offseason when he's just like gets a million shots up with hopefully a new trainer. I want Drew Hanlon out of my life. It probably has nothing to do with Drew Hanlon, but I would really prefer it to be a non-Drew Hanlon trainer just for my own sanity.
Yeah, can we get an external consultant in? Like, sure,
please.
Keep Jrue out, because Drew Hanlon swooped in at some point during the regular season, and he responded to me on Twitter when I was like, what's going on, and how was it fixed? And he talked about his high release point, that they needed to correct, that he was releasing the ball too low or too early or something like that, and that was corrected, and it's sort of since dissipated since then. So, like, there is something there to go in and re-correct again. I know there's been a lot of online scuttlebutt, as there tends to be, about Tatum's wrist. It's always in a wrap. First of all, I believe it's his offhand, and yes, guide hand, you know, in terms of shooting mechanics, does play a role there. But you wouldn't think.
Is it just the finger? Is it just like the finger now?
Exactly. And we can go down this rabbit hole all day, but like typically he's been quite a good shooter, and there's a history now of seeing it like corrected within a really small amount of time. So whether it's a mental cue, whether it's a correction to his mechanics or something that Drew Hanlon, or hopefully an external consultant, can come in and also correct as well, that there's work to be done there. And fortunately, there's a little bit of runway after the Olympics where we can get in the lab. I say we. That'd be nice. Please invite us, Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, I too would like to be in the lab.
Fix my mechanics.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Teach me mechanics.
Yeah.
Before we get on to, I want to get to some Boomer basketball talk as well, some Aussie Boomers talk. But first, we've got to get to our friends over at Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has you covered. From lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is still heating up, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, along greats like Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your cash watching the ladies ball out. Taking less on Jayson Tatum everything is probably still not the worst idea at this point. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning $10 into $1,000. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Shout out Prize Picks. Shout out the CLNS Media Network for presenting the First to the Floor podcast and YouTube channel. Guys, the Aussie Boomers played the Canadian. Does the Canada team have a name? Just the Canadian national basketball team? The Maple Leafs? Sure, we'll go with that. Anyway, we lost, and it was close in the first half. It was not so close in the second half as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was in foul trouble after picking up 2 quick fouls to begin the game, just absolutely balled out in the second half. Josh Giddey did the inverse of that, who was incredible in the first half, finishing with 18 points. And then the Maple Leafs, as we're calling them, just completely double-teamed Josh Giddey. Patty Mills was not really a factor. And Dante Exum was good in spurts, but wasn't really able to do enough as sort of that secondary ball handler / playmaker. I feel bad. I've been throwing to Jake constantly, so now it feels like I should throw to Spoonie, but we're talking about the Aussie Boomers, so I apologize, Spoonie. I've got to throw to Jake again.
It's fine.
Bad hosting.
Look, this was always going to be a tough one to win. Like, Canada's probably easily the second best team in the field here. But this is the thing with this type of tournament. Like, all it takes is one game where you shoot the lights out or something like that, and you steal one. And it felt like that was going to be maybe this type of game. You get Shai into foul trouble. Josh Giddey's hit step back threes in the first half, which was not something that I anticipated seeing. And then the youth, I thought, turned up. Like, this team is being led by Josh Giddey and Dyson Daniels, who that's probably been the biggest pleasant surprise of the tournament so far, is that Dyson Daniels has not just been awesome on defense, but he's been like the second or third kind of guy on offense at times, and like finishing layups and hitting threes. I would caution Hawks fans in believing that the 3-point shot has now finally become real, because Matisse Thybulle did something similar at the Tokyo Olympics. But in the third quarter, it was turnover time. Like, they just were throwing and credit the Canada defense. Lou Dort had Patty in the torture chamber for much of this game, but the youth turned up for Josh and Dyson. Like, all the touchdown passes, they were just rushing, getting really flustered, and then the game was essentially over. Like, you had to keep the game close to give yourself a chance to win. And then once the lead got to 10, it was that's going to be kind of hard to come back from probably in this type of context. But I thought it was very encouraging. Like, this next generation of boomers, Joe Ingles is not really getting on the court because, as my dad has been saying, that Baylor Scheinman is even slower than Joe Ingles. I don't think even Baylor Scheinman is as slow as this version of Joe Ingles. But yeah, so the transition into the Dyson, Josh Green, Josh Giddey, Dante Exum era has been better than I expected. I thought them to kind of look worse in this tournament from what I saw in the FIBA World Cup last year. So I've been pleasantly surprised. And now all we got to do is beat Greece, and we're through.
Any thoughts, Spoonie? I don't want to assume that you spent time watching the game.
I did watch the highlights. I have, I think, an Australian crush. Is it Jack McVeigh?
Oh, yeah.
This dude, I forgot to mention him. I love this dude, man. He's one of those guys. He's such a good shooter that he just builds his entire offensive game around that. And he's smart enough with the ball in his hand to know how to take advantage of his shooting threat. A couple weeks ago, maybe it might have even been last week, I saw he signed a contract with Houston. Jake, I think last show you said it was a 2-way. So I was who the fuck is this guy? And I looked into him and I was like, oh, this guy's got some shit, man. He might be a real player. So big Jack McVeigh guy. But I think if I was an Aussie, if I was in your shoes, I would feel really encouraged. You guys mostly hung with Canada, who is pretty friggin' loaded with NBA talent. And you guys have Giddey, Dyson Daniels, Josh Green, and then it's fringe, really. And none of those guys are stars in the way Shai or Jamal Murray are. So I would be very happy with this performance. And I think you can beat Greece. Greece is just Giannis, essentially. They have nobody else.
Yeah, I think Greece pose less of an overall problem. The strategy is pretty clear with Greece, similar to guarding the Bucks, except there's no Dame Lillard or Chris Middleton, but essentially make Giannis shoot from deep, collapse on his drives, and then get out to shooters is the formula. And we've seen other Olympic teams have success with that formula defending Greece. But yeah, in this game against Canada, we just couldn't adjust to their adjustments. It felt like once they made those halftime adjustments as far as how they were going to defend Josh Giddey, we just didn't have anyone else who could really handle the ball and set the table for anyone else. And there was a point, I think, earlier in the fourth quarter where we had Dante Exum and Josh Giddey on the floor at the same time, and it allowed Exum to be that sort of secondary playmaker as Giddey attracted the defense. And that worked temporarily, but that Canada adjusted again. And Jack McVay, he does not miss. I love Jack McVay.
He's awesome.
He cannot put the ball on the floor. And he cannot defend. And RJ Barrett in particular knew this. It was very much in this game report and was like licking his lips going at Jack McVay at every opportunity. But that's just classic NBA talent going up against clear NBL talent, which was very much on display. But ultimately, I think you've got to feel some pride, right, Jake? Because like Spoonie said, we did hang with them for the most part.
Oh, this is great. This is good. I think, the Greece game, I haven't actually looked at the odds. I'm guessing we're favored in that game. Like, you just got to deal with Giannis and you're fine. I am learning like my own biases against bald guys. There's a white guy on Greece who's bald.
Yes, I love this guy.
And he's also super, like, relatively slow compared to the other people on the court. And I'm like, man, this must be their version of Joe Ingles. And then, like, they did a zoom in on his face. I'm like, oh, he's actually doesn't look old at all. And I'm like, damn it, that's going to... Now anyone that's watching me on, like, play basketball from far away is going to think that I'm super old because of how bald and slow I am. But... But yeah, like Jack McVay, dude, shout out Ozra in the Discord and who's been listening for ages. He grew up with Jack McVay in Australia and has been talking about him. But Jack McVay is like a guy that barely made the NBL because people are like, yep, he's too slow. And then he's like become a mindset guy. If you follow him on Twitter, it's like every day, like I got up, breath work, mindfulness, confidence in yourself. I knew that I had to take this shot. So in like, I think it was game 2 of the finals in the NBL finals, he hit like a half court buzzer beater to win the game. Like this dude he's a hooper and a gamer. I'm very interested to see how he goes in the NBA, but if he's going to like shoot like he does, like no dip threes, quick trigger with the extra space, like he's going to probably be able to find a role. He is obviously very slow-footed. I think that's the question for the Aussies, though. It's like clearly Jock Landale, Dyson, and Josh Giddey as your 3 guys. And then who's the other 2 that you're like, who's your best 5? And like Dante and Jack McVay might be your best 5 because of the offense. But that I didn't even mention Patty Mills there. But he also is like 35, 36. But I have a feeling that actually could be your best 5. It's a bit bigger than... the Patty Mills lineup, but you are small still. But at the same time, like I'm not sure. Like I think you might be just getting your best guys out there. That the Boomers have real offensive issues because while we keep developing these 6'8" wings, none of them can shoot consistently. It's like Ben Simmons, the captain of the ship. If anyone's wondering, he's not here because I think he's still injured. But yeah, so Josh Giddey, he's been shooting well in the Olympics. So has Dyson Daniels, but like. Not sure how real that is.
This was the first game, and I promise we won't hang on Boomers talk too much because we've got a fair bit more to get to, but this was the first game, and Jake, this is going to disappoint you in your soul, where I was like, maybe could have used a little bit of Matisse Thybulle out there because Dyson Daniels' defense on SGA early in the game, he shared that load with Josh Giddey in the first half. Second half, he basically took on the full defensive load on SGA, and he just didn't hold up. He needed like to be spelled at times. He needed a break from guarding SGA because SGA was cooking him. And it's not like Matisse Thybulle's going to come in and like completely lock him down, not by any means, but you just need another sort of NBA level defender, I think, out there for those marquee players. And like, against Team USA, forget about it. But when you've got like one, huge MVP level performer out there in the case of SGA, you just need a couple better defenders that you can throw at him. And it was the first time I found myself thinking like, what kind of personnel do we have for use in that situation? And Matisse Thybulle was the name that kept popping up in my mind.
I think he stinks. So, yeah.
Well, my prediction was right.
Yeah,
but he can defend. He can defend.
No, I don't know if he can. I think he's one of the most overrated defenders in the league. Like, he got a bunch of deflections in like his first 2 years, and SGA is really good at getting his body into guys, and like that's where Matisse Thybulle's always struggled. Is like guys like Jaylen and Jayson. Like he never really bothered them because he's skinny and he's so bad on offense. So like
he shot like 36% from 3 this year. Come on, man.
How many attempts?
I don't know, but they were all wide open.
Yeah,
it was like 90% of them were wide open.
It's slim pickings in this country for basketball talent, right?
Well, they can shoot and defend. I mean, otherwise, if he could shoot and defend, then he'd be on the team and probably have a $10 million contract, but he doesn't. And like, who are you taking off the team? I guess the obvious answer is Dellavedova probably.
Or Ingles, who could be there at a coaching capacity. They're not playing.
I think those two guys, you could argue you would, but then you want the veteran leadership from those two as well.
Sure.
I thought Delhi in game one, when they got into it with Spain, did a really good job of like bringing them together and not letting the young guys get like caught up in the kerfuffle. So, you're not going to get me on the Thibault thing, but it's okay.
Just trying to really win. I'll keep poking away there, see if I can find any cracks. All right, we're going to come back in a minute. We're going to wrap up with some other Olympic event talk and some news closer to the Celtics. But first, we want a quick word from our friends over at Game Time.
Game Time. I live in the shadow of the newest MLB sensation, Paul Skeens. He's absolutely electric. Pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm looking forward to making the hour trip up to Pittsburgh and catching a Skeens start with Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. We actually just used Game Time to pick up our Summer League tickets, and I just attended a soccer game up in Pittsburgh featuring my least favorite Premier League team, Liverpool FC, all thanks to Game Time. Mo Salah, bald now. I had no idea, but he pulled the Jake Eisenberg and shaved it all off. Yep. Game Time, it's just super easy to navigate. You can pick up last-minute tickets. They've got flash deals where you save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Zone deals where you can save when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the actual seats. And I think my favorite feature is you toggle on all-in pricing. The price shows up the total up front, no surprises or fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Shout out Game Time. I don't know if you can use Game Time to look at Olympic tickets at all, but if you can, if you think you can, if you find out that you can, use the code CLNS and get $20 off that offer. Now, the Olympics are going on. I feel like planes do not fly over my house at all, and then I come up here to the attic to record a podcast, and it's like they just redirect all the airport traffic directly over my house. So apologies for the background noise. The Olympics are ongoing. We've got to get to the medal tally as I try and bring up some Olympic tunes here. Do we have it? Yes, we do.
Graphics.
Here we go. The Olympic medal tally. The People's Republic of China have rocketed ahead up there with 11 gold medals. United States of America, 9 just behind China there. And then we've got Australia straggling in fourth behind the home nation of France in third spot there at the Olympics. So you love to see it. Jake, Spoonie, any thoughts on your home nations as they cruise through the Olympics here?
I would make note that, total medals, USA, up 10 on France, which is what's most important. Forget the golds.
Of course.
Yeah, I've been consuming so much Olympics, like everything, man. Fencing, whatever that weird horse dancing shit is. Like, I'm all over it. I'm watching the USA. Equestrian. And by that, I mean, I've only watched basketball, but, a lot of national pride goes in the Summer Olympics. There's one country that leads all time in Olympic medals, and it's the United fucking States. Yeah, we don't have universal health care, but we're damn good athletes. So I imagine by the end of the Olympics, we'll be good.
Yeah, look, I think they need to, the New York Times decided to go by total medals as opposed to gold for the USA propaganda. Yeah. I do think that Australia needs to really adopt the per capita. It's like per 100 possessions. Like you gotta like filter this
net
thing
rating
down.
of medals. Yeah,
exactly. So per capita, Australia's dominating this thing as we often do. At least at this point in the Olympics, once the swimming is behind us and we move on to land, things get a little more dicey for the Australians. So enjoying it while it lasts. But I've been getting locked in late night, home from the bar from a friend's 30th birthday. And locked into the BMX riding. There's Logan from Logan in Queensland, Australia, previous gold medal holder, was in the middle of a dream run, and then he crashed on like his very last kind of entry back to the ground on like a simple trick, and that would kind of blew the chances for the Australians. And then last night, didn't see this one coming, but me and my wife locked into the 20-kilometer walk from the 15th K to the 20th K.
So ridiculous.
That's a
dude.
tough hang, man. That's a tough hang.
But it's like it's just in the background. It's like, oh, look at this. Look at this Chinese lady. She's just like got the hips. She's going. Looks like she's running. And she started like when we started watching, she was 40 seconds ahead per lap. And then by the end, it was like, only 10 seconds. And then second to third, the Australian girl made a run from 8th into 3rd, push for silver. And that's what's great about the Olympics. You chuck it on.
Damn right.
And then you don't know. Like obviously, I'm not going to watch the walking. And then next thing you know, we're like, go on, Margot, go on.
Yeah.
And then close that gap. And she got on the podium. So shout out to her.
I draw the line at competitive walking. I'm sorry. Competitive walking? What are we doing? What's next?
They walked 20 kilometers in under 2 hours in like 90 minutes. That's insane walking speed, dude. That's way faster than I could ever dream of running 20 kilometers in. So once you start diving into the analytics, like you really get an appreciation for it.
Are the Aussies Derrick White?
Yeah. Should Team USA trade for Australia?
Yeah. If someone can share the link to the cleaning the glass equivalent for walking, for competitive walking, maybe I can get into it. Have you guys heard of Georgia Villa, the Italian gymnast? So Georgia Villa, this is from glamourmagazine.co.uk, took home the silver and the gold. Well, if you count gold and yellow cheese, the Italian gymnast is sponsored by Big Parmesan, one of the top comments on Reddit, by the way, Big Parma, and the internet loves her for it. As part of Team Italy at the Paris Olympics, Villa helped bring her country its first women's gymnastic team medal in almost 100 years. It was a joyous moment, but the thing that's blown up the internet is her posing for all of her Olympic headshots or photos with giant wheels of Parmesan cheese, which you absolutely fucking love to see. Like, when have you seen anything like that? And it did pose the question, if, Derrick White, Jayson Tatum, Jrue Holiday, our beloved Celtics are at the Olympics, if you had to see them pose with any edible item, any food or drink off the top of your head, what would you like to see them pose with? And I did not tee you guys up with this question.
Firstly,
started.
Firstly, I do have Parmesan in my tier 1 of cheeses for myself. So I highly respect pecorino as well. As a side.
Teammates. They're teammates.
Teammate. Parmesan, pecorino. But look, I'm just fried chicken and Derrick White, fried chicken and Jayson Tatum. I do love Taco J. Maybe we get some tacos. But it's going to be hard to top the Sam Adams, Derrick White thing. So I would just keep the beer run going for D White.
So when I think like Boston cuisine, the first thing that comes to my mind is clam chowder or like lobsters. So, just like a seafood medley, maybe a seafood tower. Is there a company that makes those? I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe some clam chowder, something like that. Just like pour clam chowder all over them, just let them pose.
A calendar, a clam chowder, Derrick White, Jayson Tatum calendar. Let's go, dude. I'm hungry now.
Maybe posing with a nice can of Al Horford juice before he pours it over.
That's right. Wash it down with some Al Horford juice.
Jrue Holiday with some seasonal holiday foods and eats. Maybe a nice steamed ham.
All-purpose holiday.
Sugar cookies.
Jake, I wanted to get your take on the Olympic surfing as well.
Hell yeah,
it's absolutely pumping over at Chopes there in
here we go, Ben.
What's your take on the Olympic surfing?
It's awesome. I've only locked into like the one day so far, but I've been following. It's awesome. It's also like kind of it's a tough one for the casual to follow because it's like the heats are 30 minutes long and there's a lot of like kind of just like bobbing around waiting for waves to come. So like the highlights are definitely the way to go. But then when you watch the highlights, all of the highlights are of dudes just like dropping into these monster barrels and like coming out the other end, where like you don't get the full appreciation of like watching these dudes like try and drop in on these like 12-foot like monster slabs and then like get eaten up and then have to be rescued by jet skis. So like you kind of need to watch the full heats in order to like fully appreciate what they're doing out there. So where they're doing the surfing in Chopu in Tahiti, like is one of the most dangerous waves in the world. And like not only is it one of the most dangerous waves in the world, they also received like peak level dangerous surf as well. So like they cancelled the day for the women's surfing because it was going to be too dangerous. And yeah, so watching John Florence, the Team USA, like he's kind of like the best surfer in the world, got pipped by Western Australian legend Jack Robinson, who's pipped. Pipped, dude. He's just he's a cone lord, which is a euphemism for smoking bongs and for dropping deep into the cone of the barrel. And he is Jack Robinson, the cone lord of Australian surfing. I'm not even sure if he surfed again then, but like he got that one done. So it was.
We've all been through the cone lord phase in lives. You've
all been there, yeah.
But yeah, would
Spoonie,
recommend.
if I was to say, Spoonie, I didn't grow up surfing. I used to prefer charging shories on my boog. What would I be talking about?
Boogie boarding?
There we go.
Yeah, okay, you got it. Yep, charging
Really?
shories on my boog. There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed
All
it.
right,
I was
hell
not
yeah,
expecting
dude.
you to get that. And shories, of
either.
course, being little shore break waves. All right, any other Olympic thoughts before we move on? Obviously, folks, if you're watching, you're expecting Celtics basketball talk, Team USA basketball talk. It is the Olympics. It only happens once every fucking 4 years, so we are going to talk about it a fair bit, mostly because there's very little else going on other than Steve Kerr lineup-related drama. So if you've got any Olympic thoughts for us to get to on the next pod, make sure you let us know in the chat, in the comments. Before we move on to Gordo, guys, any other Olympic thoughts?
Can we just fucking see a lineup of Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, and Jayson Tatum?
I know.
That doesn't seem like it's very hard to figure out, Steve Kerr. Anyway.
How would we know if it'd work, though? You never know if it's going to work.
Good
Yeah,
point.
definitely. Yeah, definitely not if you have Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis out there at the same time. Definitely won't work.
Let's wrap up on these two news items. The first one being Gordon Hayward has retired from the sport of basketball, at least at a professional level. I found this somewhat surprising. I thought he'd find his way onto a team at a minimum. Perhaps there's a sense of like not wanting to play at that much of a diminished role and a diminished salary, but his full retirement message has been tweeted out on social media and Instagram and all of that. Guys, kind of a I guess a sad ending to Gordon Hayward's career. If you remember when he signed with Boston, I remember exactly where I was and what he was doing when it was announced, and he was really at the peak of his game at that point, and there was so much excitement about bringing him on and pairing him up with Isaiah Thomas and Al Horford and what that team was going to look like. Obviously, IT gets traded. We all know what happened to Gordon Hayward. I've got the clip right here. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
I literally just felt my feet tingle with terror. I was like, please don't do it.
I had to do it. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Spoonie, thoughts? And have you got a favorite Hayward Celtic moment you want to get to?
Honestly, the Hayward era with Boston, it's like all I think about is like him breaking his leg in the first 5 minutes of that Cleveland game, and then when he got hurt in the bubble. I've been kind of thinking about this a lot because he's 34, right? So he's past prime, but I really think he could at least be a solid 12-minute a game contributor. Like, do you think he regrets going to Charlotte? Like, I know he was injured a good amount, but he basically just threw his late prime away for a couple extra $1 million, you know? And he seems like the type that maybe that's a worthwhile trade for him. But dude, you only get one career, man, and you could have been playing playoff games, not just in Boston. Like, he could have stuck around and obviously been playing deep into the playoffs with us or anywhere else. And he basically retired when he went to Charlotte. He's not really played a meaningful game since that happened, other than his cameos for OKC this year.
Yeah, I don't know if he regrets going to Charlotte. He probably regrets going to Boston just because maybe he never snaps his leg in half. Yeah. But he probably just has so much bad luck. He's even when he felt like he was getting back right in with the Celtics and he breaks his hand against the Spurs and he's playing his best basketball. He's playing really good basketball as he comes into the bubble playoffs and then hurts his ankle really badly in the first game of that playoff run. So I don't know if he regrets going to Charlotte necessarily, or it's just I got the worst luck for 5 years straight after basically being one of the healthiest players in the NBA. It is a very I used to think about the Gordon Hayward injury a lot more before the Celtics won a title because it was always the sliding doors moment because that was really the kind of the sliding doors moment where things kind of went off the rails. If he doesn't get injured, they probably make the finals in Tatum's rookie year. If he doesn't get injured, that second year with Kyrie Irving, probably goes a lot better because you've got Gordon Hayward as another veteran there who's still like playing all-star level basketball. And that probably means that Al Horford doesn't leave either, because the main reason that Al Horford left was because Kyrie tanked the team. And then if that doesn't happen, does that mean you get healthy Gordon Hayward and Al Horford in the bubble? Because if you get healthy Gordon Hayward and healthy Al Horford in the bubble, do you win the title? You at least push the Lakers to 6 or 7. And then like I probably think you win a title, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not a everything happens for a reason person. I'm more like, okay, if everything's fucked, let's try and find our way through this next phase of our lives. And that's kind of what Brad Stevens did for us. But it's like, do we find Derrick White? Do we find Jrue Holiday? Do we find Kristaps Porzingis? Do we end up with a team that wins 64 games, goes 16-3 in the playoffs, and has like the one of the most dominant seasons of all time? Probably not. So like, it all kind of worked out really well for the Celtics, but it always is going to be a big what if.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward had a really nice turnaround fadeaway jump shot a couple of plays before the injury in Cleveland. I remember when he hit that shot, I was like, let's fucking go. Gordon Hayward, max contract. Look at him go. What an amazing player. So versatile. Can do everything on the floor. And then we know what happened from there. And yeah, like you talk about the sliding doors moments, like what happens with Ainge and, you know, how he manages Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Does he trade them? Does he look to bolster that lineup of Al Horford and Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward by trading for more savvy veterans or different role players, more experienced role players? There's so many what ifs. But obviously we won the championship, and with all thoughts and prayers to Gordon Hayward's ankle, pretty happy with how it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I'll say so, man. Like, yeah. I really think Jaylen doesn't blossom into the player he is with Hayward kind of in the way of him, because he was better his second year, and then he had that down year. That's his third year when Hayward came back, and it was a disaster. And then, although they were all really good in 1920 in the bubble, like together, so it probably is fine. But you just never know with stuff like that. And yeah, you're right. The title, I used to like think back and like get like legitimately melancholy thinking about Hayward breaking his ankle, and now it's just like there's just a bump along the the road to the destination now, right? Like it's like whatever, part of the journey now.
Yeah, it was before. It was like, it was obviously never going to be in the same category as Len Bias or Reggie Jackson, but it was like that's going to be like the late teens, early 20s reason why the Boston Celtics didn't win a title, was because the max contract guy from the Western Conference All-Star team snapped his leg in half and was never the same after playing for 5 minutes. And but
and so I guess the other lasting memory of Hayward's time in Boston is that constant thought of like, can he get back there? Can he get back to that sort of elite or like just all-star level NBA player? And there were little flashes throughout his time in sort of that 2018-2019 season, and then in the bubble as well. He left the bubble with an ankle injury, then he came back and stayed in the bubble, even though it was during the birth of his son, which is something that I'll always remember and appreciate, because that's a huge sacrifice to make in his personal life to hang around and try and see us over the line. And he was so injured in that Heat series. But look, there was one moment where we just had a little like, oh, is he back? Is Hayward back? And it's this game winner against the Sacramento Kings.
None of those shots hit the rim. Here we go. Hayward, 2 seconds left. Now you do call a timeout. Wow, what are you doing? And now they did take a time.
And then the Kings it right after
I was going to say, like, even that sentence, the fact that it's a game winner against Sacramento is just
it's like
the
that's
most classic.
It came down to that.
And Gordon Hayward thing. Man, I remember like the year after he snapped his leg and he's doing all the rehab, there was like a mini documentary, and he's like it starts with him like picking up marbles with his like foot, and like the story is about, I started shooting from a chair. I feel like my shot's going to be even better. Me being like, dude, like, he says like his right leg's even stronger than his left leg now, and his shooting's going to be even better. I'm being like, dude, maybe this is a good thing. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum turned into who they turned into, and now Gordon Hayward's going to come back, and Kyrie Irving's going to come back, and we're going to be like this awesome team. And we were the favorites in the Eastern Conference coming into the next season, and just whatever the opposite of all of those feelings were is what happened.
Yeah, the worst outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty rough. But anyway, Valet, Gordon Hayward, we enjoyed rooting for you to come back and be somebody, and glad you got the bag there in Charlotte, and at least you're retiring with a fuckload of money. We're going to end on this story, which is really cool. Jaylen Brown is, this is per Shirley Long of the Boston Globe, Jaylen Brown launches, quote, Black Wall Street idea, launching a Boston Exchange, or BXC, a non-profit initiative to generate $5 billion in generational wealth in communities of color. The NBA Finals MVP has tapped local partners from MIT to the city of Boston to help shape his vision to support entrepreneurs in the so-called creative economy. The program, a collaboration with the Celtics teammate Jrue Holiday and his wife Lauren's JLH Social Impact Fund, will sponsor 10 entrepreneurs in Greater Boston in design, arts, media, entertainment, fashion, and culinary arts. So Jaylen Brown talked about this when he signed his big deal a year ago, guys. Held true to his word. He's got this thing off the ground now. I believe it's becoming active as of tomorrow, where people can apply for grants and funding to get their own projects off the ground. Any thoughts on this? Like, I don't expect you guys to have like huge insightful takes on this because it's all very new.
Why not?
Well, obviously, hit me with what you got. What do you got? What do you got, Jake?
No, I mean, Matt Damon was asked today on First Take, like, any Celtic past or present that you can't live without. I don't remember what the prompt was, but whatever.
Save in a heist.
I'll just save in a heist.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
It's an insane premise. But Matt Damon nailed it with Jaylen Brown, and he like explicitly talked about his off the court stuff and how it's so incredible that, like, to be so good as Jaylen Brown has, and not just as good as Jaylen Brown has become, but we've just talked about, like, is he going to take another leap? Spoonie's writing about it. It's like, no one expected him to get this good. So for the amount of work that he's clearly had to put in to get to the level of NBA player that he is, has blown all of our expectations out of the water. And then on the side, he's been able to do everything that he's done off the court. And this looks to be like the bridge program that he's already done at MIT. And now this as well, being like the next evolution and like the bigger version of that as well is incredible, man. Like, the fact that he values this stuff so highly and like puts his money where his mouth is. Like, you can always put money towards stuff. Like, if you're rich, like, I donated to charity, whatever. But to be someone who's like spearheading like the way for Massachusetts and Boston to narrow the pay gap is like just inspirational, dude. It really is.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he's really specifically targeting the way you build wealth, right? And there's a lot of stuff in American history that have denied that from certain populations. So it's just a really cool initiative. And I imagine they're just doing 10 right now because it's sort of probably the pilot. I imagine it'll expand. But that it's great, dude. Like, he's basically granting 10 people their dream wish, right? Like, I have an idea that I want to get off the ground and I have no way of getting it. 10 people are going to get like the greatest wish of their life granted, and in large part due to Jaylen Brown. And it has an opportunity to really bolster not just the black community in Boston, but Boston as a whole and all of New England, really. So it's a really awesome idea, really awesome initiative. I'm looking forward. And I love that Jrue Holiday is involved too. Yep. That's kind of a really cool wrinkle that I wasn't expecting.
Hell yeah, dude. Drew's going to be here forever as well.
Yes.
Great work by Jaylen, dude.
Yeah.
Well, fucking look at you guys. Here I was. I don't expect you guys to have any insightful takes on it. You guys absolutely fucking nailed it. Well done. But yeah, it's the creating of opportunities rather than just like blindly throwing money at something, and the fact that it's so specific to the community that he is like well and truly become a part of, which I think is truly amazing. So genuinely really looking forward to seeing how that evolves. Anything else, guys? We're just about to hit the hour mark. We're actually a couple minutes short for once. So any final takes on anything we've discussed before we wrap this baby up?
That's good. Feeling good. Can't wait to get up 1 a.m. Puerto Rico, Team USA. Looking forward to that one. And then Boomers, baby. Look, just get Brad Stevens on the phone. Get the game plan. Suck in. Build the wall. Double on the dribble. Get going.
Yeah.
Move the ball.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Suck in, build the wall.
What was it? The pipe master? What was that?
Yeah, the cone lord.
Oh, yeah. Just be a bunch of cone lords out there. I hope you guys win. I just really want Giannis to lose. I know.
Always.
This character flaw.
Be a fun aspect for the playback stream is be a cone lord live on playback. Spice it up a little bit. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back early next week to recap all the latest at Olympic basketball and whatever else comes up between now and then. Go the Boomers. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celts.